You're listening to the Veterinary Innovation Podcast.
You're listening to the Veterinary Innovation Podcast. My name is Sean Wilkie, and along with my awesome co host, we interview the innovators in this space. Ivan, please go ahead and introduce today's guest.
Hey, I'm Zach. I'm excited to introduce our guest, James Kademan. James is the founder of Veterinary Receptionists. He has made stellar customer service and his main business focus. James has started multiple businesses, all focused on incredible customer service. He's also a host of the business podcast, Authentic Business Adventures, and the author of the Bold Business book. James can often be found either running with his dog, Kirby, or helping her in and out the house on a consistently sporadic basis. James, welcome to the show. Thank you for finding the time.
Yeah, thank you so much both for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I do want to dive into the vet receptionist because that's why you're here. I want to hear a little bit more about the book. Can you tell us what your book is about?
Yeah, the Bold Business book is essentially about, very broadly, about being bold in business. I have met a lot of people, and I imagine you have as well, entrepreneurs that were slow decision makers or they just didn't have the drive that you could see would help them be successful. But a lot of times they were missing, I don't like they had the desire, but they didn't necessarily have the knowledge and they didn't know what the next step was to gain that knowledge. So it's really, I don't know, it's one of those things where like, let's offer this to entrepreneurs, people that are considering starting their business. And then from there, they can read it and be awesome, I guess, as far as that goes.
Awesome. Well, I know a few things about being bold. So that's
You
it.
said bald or bold? Sorry.
That's what I meant. Not pun intended. But
I think you know a bit about both, don't you, Ivan?
yeah,
We all do, right?
that's true. One more than the other. But there should be a podcast for bold guys. Like,
I'm sorry, Ivan. I won't be able to help you with that.
okay, well,
Give it time, right?
you'll catch up. You'll catch up. So that's awesome. I love that. And then, so now this is your new venture, and tell us what venture number it is for you,
Oh, man.
and how many of those that you started actually succeeded, and were there any that did not?
I'm going to say it's number 5. Let's call it 5. That's an interesting question. I never really thought about that. It's like, what do you count, right? When you're a kid and you're selling popsicle stick animals to your friends or parents, whatever. But real business, let's call it number 5. I have had some that did not go so hot. And I guess to varying degrees. The first one that I had was actually a printer repair and copier repair company. I ended up selling that. So I did well that way. But that was 8 years of busting tail for not a whole lot of money. I was spending weekends and nights doing paperwork. So financially, it was a success at the end. But during the 8 years, when I look back, I'm like, that was a terrible business. I had a window company for 6 months during the pandemic with the guy that I'd met that was in the window business. I knew more of the technology side, and the goal was to have people be able to order replacement windows for their house online. So I'm like, people are ordering cars online. They should be able to order replacement windows. And there are a few things that suffered from. One, this was during pandemic. So oh my gosh, what was nomenclature they always used about just getting the stuff? Supply chain.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, you couldn't get the stuff. If you did get the stuff, it was wrong or broken. And that turned into way more of a headache. On top of the fact that people still want to touch and feel stuff even if they don't understand it. So like we would have people that would want to like, I need to see the window. I'm like, it's clear glass, man. Just look through it. But yeah, my business partner in that one, his wife told him, you got to get a real job or we're getting a divorce. So we closed up that.
It never stopped entrepreneurs.
Yeah. He's a good guy. The window thing, that was a interesting business. I learned a lot, but that was a mess. Definitely the wrong time. I do still feel like somebody could run with that idea and do very well with it, but
You know where it would be successful, and I can say that joke because I'm Ukrainian. In Ukraine, there are windows right now. Well, my uncle, they're in a pretty hot area right now that is actually pretty close to where they murdered 34 people just this weekend. And yeah, it's because of the attacks. Windows are gone everywhere all the time. So,
huh. Well, that's crazy. I guess it's little stuff like that, little details that you don't even think about.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's switch to the receptionists. So tell us about this. What is it? What's the goal here? How does it work? And how can we use it?
Sure. So vet receptionist essentially stemmed off of calls on call extraordinary answering service, which is an answering service I started with a business partner 14 years ago. And that was started because I needed help with the businesses answering phones. I met a woman who was super great, had a virtual administration company. And I'm like, hey, you got virtual administrators hanging around. What are the chances they could answer phones? And she's like, not going to happen, because the administrators that they had were mostly stay at home moms and people that this was a side gig. So they're working nights and weekends. But she said a lot of our clients are asking for the same thing. So her and I met for coffee. We figured out a game plan. We started a business. We ran with that for, I don't know, 7, 8 years, something like that, till her business really took off. So I bought her out shortly after I sold my other company. And then Calls on Call was running. And I figured we got to have a niche. We got to find a niche. And we had a false start with Autoglass. And then we fired into the veterinary side. Veterinary side, we hired people that actually had veterinary experience, because I have the outside of the desk experience with my dog, but I don't know the inside. So I hired people that were much smarter than me in that side. And we've just been growing that.
That's amazing.
We grew to the point that we could actually afford to go to VMX last year.
That's great. Yeah, it's an interesting world, James. And I mean, I'd like to take the conversation in a different direction. I'd like to understand, the innovation that you guys are deploying at scale to kind of grow the business and, kind of get to the next level. And then I want to bolt on my favorite bolt on the top of it, or on the side or the back or the front, whatever you like. What's AI going to do to the business? What are your thoughts? We have AI chatbots that can have conversations that are almost indistinguishable from humans now. What impact, if any, do you see that having on the business?
Sure. Do you want me to tackle the AI thing now?
Hey, man, whatever you like. There's no rules here. Go ahead.
Sure. So the AI thing, you're not wrong. We actually use it now internally. We build chatbots for our clients internally so that our crew has essentially a place to ask a question to hopefully get an answer. The thing that we've learned with AI, and I think a lot of people that have learned with AI, whether they realize it or not, is that AI is smart. I mean, whether artificially you want to say or not, but it gives you an answer. Great. And 90% of the time, it's a really good and accurate answer. 10% of the time, it's not, but it doesn't tell you that it's a wrong answer. And a lot of times, it's not super obvious that it's a wrong answer. So if you're not smart enough to pay attention to say, like, that's not exactly correct, you'll say, yeah, this is it. AI told it to me, so it must be correct, right? So we're not, from my point of view, we're not to the point that I feel comfortable offering it as on the consumer side without some kind of caveat or asterisk that says this is AI, trust it 90%.
Let me give you a scenario. So, super busy vet practice, like every other vet practice. It's quiet all morning. People are sitting having coffee. Nothing's going on. And then they've got 10 phone lines. They all ring at the same friggin' time. And there's somebody at the counter at the same time. So this is a perfect scenario for the virtual receptionist world. But maybe somebody's just calling to see if they can get in right away. Is there any openings in their calendar? And I know of several companies. Ava's one, Pure Logic's another. They've got their Amy that they work with in veterinary. And it will do those things really well. So how do you, besides what you're doing now, be an AI assisted company that's got the people that can handle the tackle the trickier questions, but also still leverage this massive power to answer those 15 phone calls at the same time?
Sure, you're not right. That's exactly that scenario is why we exist. We're essentially backup for a front desk. But you raise an interesting point, right? For scheduling or something simple, AI can do very well. The challenge that we're finding is that we're trying to build a model. In the case of AI, we're trying to build a model and then forcing the crowd, training the crowd to follow that model. It reminds me of a ninja class. They're teaching you this is what happens when somebody comes at you with a right hook. And somebody raises their hand and they're like, what if they have a shovel? And they're like, no, we're practicing right hook here. But if you can't adapt, then someone's going to hit you with something. And you're like, oh, I only practiced in class and somebody comes at me with a right hook. You're not prepared. So in the case of a person that has a dog calling up saying, hey, I want to schedule Trixie or whatever, and they're going through the AI and it's working very well until the person says, I actually, Trixie's got this little lump. What should I do about this lump? Or Trixie has this food. Do you guys like that food? Or they throw some type of curveball that the AI wasn't really programmed to do. It's programmed to schedule. So there has to be some out. And that out, whether it's pressing a number to talk to a human or something like that, or the AI saying, I'm not really sure about that, and that AI has to connect you to a human, whatever it is, that takes time and that takes processing power. And processing power from the AI that we've experimented with takes time. And that time can be a 5 to 10 second dead air delay. And I don't know about you, but when I'm on the phone, if there's dead air, I'm like, are you still there? What's going on? So that is where we're running into the challenge. Those are challenges that I feel like over time will be resolved and figured out. But right now, today, I don't consider them up to par.
Yeah, one of the things that for the listeners, for you, for Ivan, Bordy.ai, if you guys never heard this or experienced it, just go to LinkedIn or just search Bordy.ai. You can call this virtual AI over multiple sessions, have multiple conversations. It has context. It's mind blowing. You're still right. And I don't want to think that I'm so far down on this bandwagon that I don't think your service makes sense still. I think there's still a lot of value. But man, your space is going to get flipped upside down like in the next, I think, like the next 12, 16, 18 months. Like there's so many new companies. I just called a Marriott hotel in Orlando and I had a conversation with an AI. And I said, I'd like to book an appointment at the spa and I'd like to speak to a real person. And like within 20 seconds, I was talking to somebody real.
Nice.
And like the whole exchange up until that point was really smooth. So, where do you see the innovation happening in your business? Like, how are you guys going to capitalize on this trend?
So, in the veterinary space specifically, one of the challenges that you probably have seen or run into is that is a very slow moving ship as far as decision makers go. We still have people that are using software that we use, that we access, that is not cloud based. It's premise based, and it works for them. It's doing great. We're able to log into it through a VPN and take care of that. So getting a veterinary clinic like that on board with AI, that's going to be a tall sales order. On top of that, there's other challenges. There's different types of software. You got to train the AI for all the stuff. Not saying that you can't, not saying that you won't, but we're digging into Thoughtly right now for AI. The cost, it's better than a human, but it's not, it's probably 2/3 the cost. It's not a third of the cost of a human. So right now, today, at this moment, right, if you're listening to this in 2025, what are we at? Beginning of second quarter 2025, I don't see it doing well. But like you said, a year from now, man, a lot has happened in a year in AI already. So no doubt, you're completely correct. AI could change the game. But you're also asking people, the decision makers, to change with it. And they got a lot going on already. On top of that, they're busy and should be making money. I don't know if they are. Some are, some aren't. That's a whole nother game, I guess, when you talk about pricing and all that jazz. But you're trying to say, like, hey, we got this new super awesome technology to a company that maybe doesn't need it or doesn't
Or
want
I
it.
think maybe more importantly, doesn't want it. So, I mean, that's always going to be the case. There's always going to be a subset of the market. But what are you guys doing to leverage this technology? Let's double click there to like tease out the innovation that you guys can use to power your solutions that people don't have to feel being there. Like, I'm thinking of like a real time transcription and the answer is pulling up as the person's talking and then the person's just reading the screen. Are you doing stuff like this?
We're actually literally in the process of building that right now.
Cool.
Yeah. The live transcription thing, it's interesting that you say that because we shop for a new system like that. We've been shopping for that since pre-pandemic. Because from my point, transcription's not new. That's been around for years. And picking out keywords, I'm like, where's the challenge there? And now with AI, they just slap the AI sticker on it because in the end, call it what you want. It's using a processor to figure out stuff like this. We've been shopping for a very long time, and now that things have ramped up, this is becoming more common. I wouldn't call it super common, but yeah, basically using the transcription live to pick out keywords to give suggestions or things for the agent to do. This is where you schedule because they use the word schedule. This is whatever they use the word prescription. So this is that. And then client specific. So each client's situation AI build out is independent of every other client. So yeah, huge, huge. That will be game changer. And we'll have that live. We wanted it live April, but let's just call it June.
Okay.
June, and that's the phone system itself is agreeing with June. So I will comfortably say, June, that will be live for our crew.
Awesome. Well, I'm a big fan of what you're doing because we're in 6 hospitals now, and we use only a remote reception. We do it internally, but that was the model. So we started building these urgent care, and we said we're not going to have phones in the building. We're going to have remote reception, and then they're going to work from home, and then essentially they will handle the schedule and all the conversations, and then if they need to page in the hospital, they'll do it. And it's interesting to see how when people join us, they just go a little bit like, huh? Like, how, what? How do you do that? And then as soon as they do first shift, they're like, oh, I don't even know that they're not sitting up front because it just works. It just works. And that's the decision that I made when we started this. But how do you overcome that with your customers? Because I know how difficult vets are, and you mentioned that already, how difficult they are to change. What's your kind of key sales talk track when you talk to a stubborn veterinarian with a PIMS on-prem to kind of convince them this is the way to go?
No, you're absolutely right. That's a huge pain point. I always joke with people that we're kind of like the first place to offer massage. Maybe not the first. We're one of the newer ones to offer massage. Massage right now is on every street corner. But before it really got popular, could you imagine trying to sell massage to someone? Like, I'm going to come in this room, undress to your comfort level, lay down in this cozy bed. I'm going to light some candles, get some incense going, turn the lights down, and I'm just going to rub you with oil. And people are going to be like, what? But now that it's becoming the norm, it's all good. People understand when they say, I'm going to get a massage. Got it. No problem. I need a massage. Got it. No problem. They understand it. Now we're in that newer thing where a lot of our marketing has to be education. And typically, to your point, people aren't actively searching for this unless they have a problem. And that problem that they commonly have goes twofold. One is they have turnover at their front desk, which is still huge. And two, they just can't manage people. They got in the business to take care of pets, and they're not often, I don't want to say all, but often, they're not the greatest at working with people. And a lot of times, people don't want to work with people that can't talk with people. So, in the end, I guess to answer your question very shortly, they end up having pain that doing what they're doing won't fix.
And are you augmenting and replacing or both?
We're built to augment, to be a supplement to their existing crew.
Yeah.
The only time, I guess with a few exceptions, that we're the front desk, so to speak, is with large animal clinics
Yeah. That makes tons of sense.
where there's just people in their trucks and they really don't have a spot. They don't have a front desk.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unless
And
you count the passenger seat of their truck, they don't have a front desk.
And where do you guys start and where do you stop? Like how much like are you in the practice management system? I know you are because you said booking appointments, like sending bills to people. Like what service specifically do you offer for like a small animal hospital that wants to augment their front staff? And then another bolt on, like what technology you guys use to do this? And do they need to buy something?
So, great question. So, let me work that backwards here. Do they need to buy something? No. Essentially, all they're doing, we're set up month to month. So, there's no long term contract or anything like that.
No
So,
hardware
they're essentially buying our time and availability.
and no hardware.
There's no extra software to build. No.
Nice.
Every once in a while, we have to get an IT person involved, but we just take care of that because once it's set up, it's good. We had one clinic last year, 2 years ago, something like that. They had on-prem software that we had to remote into. The computer, you may laugh at this if you have any modicum of technology insights. The computer that they were using that they wanted us to log into remotely was also the computer they had their X-ray machine plugged into. So if we were in that computer first and their person plugged in their X-ray machine or fired that up, we would get booted out. But that also worked the other way. They're in the middle of an X-ray and we log into that machine, we would boot them out. Could you imagine that?
Oh, we can
So
imagine.
I actually just
We can imagine. We've been in hundreds of hospitals.
I sent them I sent them 3 just basic PCs, and I'm like, "Do you have an IT guy?" "Yes. I'm gonna send you this stuff, have them hook it up. I don't wanna be in your X-ray machine. You don't want me in your X-ray machine. Your people are gonna mutiny if they see us in your X-ray machine, because 'cause they're gonna get frustrated. Your clients are gonna get frustrated. We just spent a few $100, send them the machines, get them going, and then my crew is happier, which that's my job, keep my crew happy. Their crew is happier. It's also my job, keep their crew happy. Presumably their clients were happier because they weren't getting interrupted. So it's one of those things where you just sometimes we gotta eat a little bit to get it going. But outside, we never ask our clients to take care of that.
Amazing. Yeah, those situations are very common in the vet industry.
But then I guess to the point before, right? Like the business owner should know that. We can't have the X-ray machine doing
Yeah,
anything.
this is a different breed of people. They learn how to treat pets. So this
Yeah,
is,
yeah. You know what I mean.
yeah.
You know what I
We
mean.
do.
So, James, where can people find vet receptionists if this sounds compelling to them and they would like to try your service?
Yeah, they can go to vetreceptionists.com. They can find all the information as well. We have crew. They're actually writing blogs that they upload at least once a week that veterinary crew, especially front desk crew, may find compelling.
All right,
Nice.
awesome. Well, vetreceptionists plural.com.
Thorough, you got it.
Visit and yeah, we ran out of time. We always do, but we always ask two questions at the end that are the same. So one of them is, what book recommendation do you have to our listeners that maybe inspired you recently?
Yeah, it's an interesting question because I'm a big reader. One of the questions that we ask when we hire people is, what is the last book that you read? The most recent one that I've really been sold on is Unreasonable Hospitality. We actually started a little book club. It didn't go very far because we're remote, and that's really a big challenge. But Unreasonable Hospitality has been, I don't know, just opened my eyes about different stuff and perception and helping my crew perceive every time they're out in the world, on the phone, at a restaurant, wherever. Just look and see how customer service, how people are being treated, and what good and bad. So I love that book.
Yeah, it's a good one. We've actually heard that one on the podcast before.
Oh, nice.
Uh, Last question is another innovator from the veterinary industry that you think would be a good guest for our show.
Oh man, there's Beth Vinny. I just interviewed her with Zara's Promise, is a nonprofit designed to help. Well, I guess they do three tiers essentially. They help people that have pets that have been diagnosed with cancer just to navigate all that. They have resources to help people on the financial end. And then they're also working with the American Family Children's Hospital locally here in Madison, Wisconsin, to help study the cancer side on both pets and humans and essentially learning from each other or sharing their information, what they've learned.
Thank you so much for listening to the Veterinary Innovation Podcast. If you want to hear about our new episodes, please follow us on any social media channel. Also, you can check out our website at veterinaryinnovationpodcast.com. See you next week.